Showing on Pearl Studio 9:30. Tonight, Adam's Family Values. Tomorrow night, Harry and the Hendersons. See you then. It's a dragon. No, it's cake. Cake? Yep. Is it really? You bet. No way.
Delicious.
Absolutely. It's like everything's cake. Thursday night, Extreme Cake Makers, Season 3, at 8:30 on Pearl. Say cheese. Burger. Indulge into a burgerlicious feast because you deserve it. Protect you and your family with a click of a button to buy insurance online. This artist's perspective of everyday objects will give your imagination a twist. Don't just wear an outfit. Elevate them with the help of these handmade accessories. Thursday night, Dolce Vita at 9 on Pearl. From economic and business trends to political, social and cultural issues, relevant to viewers in Hong Kong and around the world, a half-hour documentary show, interviewing prominent figures and leaders with viewpoints from all sides. Sunday night, Pearl Magazine at 8 on Pearl.
Hello, I'm Chugani, and this is Straight Talk. With today are two guests. Kin-hei, you're the chairman of the Democratic Party. You're also a district councillor. Cheung, you also are a district councillor, and you were a student leader during the Umbrella Movement. Now you're a district councillor. Now, first question, a law has been gazetted that all district councillors must now swear allegiance, right, to the basic law. You're both district councillors. This was not a requirement before. Tommy, will you swear to this?
I think I will swear if the ordinance has been passed in the Legislative Council, because I think we have to bear the responsibility of being a representative, which representing our district and the people who vote for us in 2019. So that I think we should bear in mind that our responsibility is to be the representative until the day we couldn't do again.
But are your constituents asking you to swear allegiance?
Actually, by friends or volunteers, even the residents, they also agree with that I should swear, because they think I should sit on my district councillors until the day that maybe we maybe suffer disqualifications, maybe 1 or 2 years later. But at this moment, I think there is a risk. There is still a political risk for us, because actually we don't know what is the standard of after you have oath-taking, and maybe they will think under the standard of the patriot, I haven't been
whether you're
patriotic enough.
Patriot or not, looking at, now, this oath has a long list of conditions, which was spelled out by the Constitutional Affairs Secretary. You cannot collude with foreign forces. You cannot insult the flag or the national anthem. You cannot support independence or self-determination. You cannot do an official referendum like what happened in 2019. These are the conditions. Will you swear to it?
Well, I think we are still looking at it, because the law itself, it is not passed yet. We will look at the past law. But of course, I think these kinds of things, the so-called negative list, is very vague and it's very broad. And you can actually, when in there, by accident, because there's a terms that said, oh, maybe you can tend to harm the general interests of Hong Kong, and you can never define that. So I think this risk of being disqualified or being said you're not taking your oath very sincerely, this risk is here. But I think there are a lot of risks out there, and if there's risks and we don't do anything.
Well, some district councillors say they will not take this oath of allegiance. But both of you, you say you will take it.
Well, I'm still considering.
You're still considering, but you're going to take it, Tom.
I'm going to take.
Yeah, and I think apart from what Tommy has said, that our promises to the people are 4 years, that the district council is actually voted in just in 2019. We also actually signed a declaration when we run for election. Everybody has to sign it, which said we pay allegiance to the Basic Law and to the Hong Kong SAR. So I think I pleaded allegiance very sincerely at that time, and I served the Hong Kong people, I served Hong Kong as a whole, and I think I respect the Basic Law and I follow the Basic Law. I think the government is not following the Basic Law. So it is a matter of interpretation for them, of course.
Both of you won in 2019 at the height of the protest, the anti-government protests, and young people like yourselves won most of the district council seats. That never happened before, right? You won in a landslide, the so-called opposition, right? Now, it's been said in the past few weeks over and over and over again that only patriots can govern Hong Kong. And it is now being defined that aside from executive council, the government, the legislative council, that even district councillors must be patriots because you still have a role, although you don't have a governing role, but you have a role in looking after district matters, right? I'm going to ask both of you this question. Are you a patriot, Tommy?
I think we couldn't define ourselves as a patriot because I think it's kind of political definition provided by Beijing government, and also and the Hong Kong government is now implemented this kind of definition into the ordinance we are talking about these days. And of course, I think if we define ourselves as patriot, but
what do you define yourself then?
But Beijing would not agree that we are patriot because we are from the opposition camp. And of course, I think, of course, as the district councillors, I think we have obeyed the Basic Law. We have, at least we would not touch the areas that are banned by the national security law, because although we may have some different opinion on it, but
you won't break the national security law.
Not break the national security law. I don't think the district councillors, most of us, would break that national security law. So that I don't know whether this kind of act wouldn't be defined as the patriot. But the area or the definition is so weak and so vague, and which maybe just like the people after the off-taking, they couldn't do something harm the people's interest in Hong Kong. But you couldn't say that if you still if you ban some ordinance inside the Legislative Council that may harm the that's like tax paying from the conglomerates or from the property owners, that maybe you are protecting those people's interests, but you are harming the majority people interests. Is that so-called breaking the off-taking? So that I couldn't understand the list to be provided by the government.
What about you? Are you a patriot?
Well, I think I'm much more patriot than a lot of patriots out there. At least I didn't have a UK passport, and I have to give it up before I became the chairman of the district council, like Andrew Leung. He gave up his
He's
UK,
president of the Legislative Council.
UK passport. He only do this to become the chairman of the Legislative Council. I think I'm much more patriot. My family, they all are Hong Kong citizens, all are Chinese citizens. I think I am in a much more patriot background than them as well.
So you won't leave Hong Kong?
I won't leave Hong Kong. Hong Kong is my home, and I don't know why people keep on telling us to, those pro-Beijing people, oh, if you don't like it, just go. Why should I go? Hong Kong is my home, and why should me be the one to go away?
Well, will you leave Hong Kong?
I won't leave Hong Kong because it just...
Do you have a foreign passport?
I don't have. My BNO, actually, I didn't renew since 2005.
But you can still use it if you want to go to the UK.
I don't think I will renew it because I think if we have to show our promise to Hong Kong or show our future routing in Hong Kong, I don't think we need to renew the BNO passport. I have just only the HKSAR passport. If I go to the foreign countries, I think I will still use that passport.
On Sunday, over 50 of the opposition, some of them legislative councillors, some of them activists, some of them district councillors, so many of them have been here before. They were asked to go to the police station, and many of them going to be charged with the national security law. A lot of people, 47
there are some sort of worry that because when the national security law, when it is used in a way that we have never seen before. For example, coming into a primary and asking the people who they wanted to be their representatives or to represent the pan-democrats to actually run for election. How does it offend or being an offense in any way? And if you say, oh, you should not ask or force the government to resign, you should not force the chief executive to resign. But come on, in the basic law,
it is allowed.
We can make her resign, not just by vetoing the budget. We can also impeach her. So if anyone run for election and said we will impeach her, does it mean us?
Tommy, before the break, are you scared?
I think the restrictions on the political participation is being larger and larger throughout the days. But I think every one of us have some worries about it. I don't think I'm scared, but we have certain worries on how the national security law will act in the future days.
I'm going to take a quick break. See you soon. Don't go away.
Welcome to MasterChef Junior.
One of you small home cooks will win the title of MasterChef Junior.
A season full of sweet treats.
It's one of my all-time favorite desserts.
And surprises within.
Oh, this is really bad. Oh, no more, no more, no more, no more, no more.
This is a baking nightmare.
Tonight, MasterChef Junior, Season 7, at 8:30 on Pearl. These clumsy, adorable pets and crazy, silly humans will make you
It's not funny.
Saturday, America's Funniest Home Videos at 8 on Pearl. Until it's acquired, knowledge is an illusion. And if illusions, like unanswered questions, are infinite in this world, then so too must be knowledge. The Open University of Hong Kong Special, Knowledge for All, Sunday morning at 9 on Pearl. Knowledge for All is presented by the Open University of Hong Kong.
啱啱去完又要去，以為係腎虛，可能同前列有關。每日一粒寶達姆前列配方，內含嘅高濃度腳葉中鋁，有助前列健康。前列暢通就在掌握中，寶達姆。
Manarini. No matter how fit we are, it is important to get vaccinated to prevent COVID-19. All along, we have received different vaccines to prevent infections. Vaccines will help create antibodies and memory in our immune system. When we come into contact with viruses in future, our immune system will quickly resist them. It is the simplest and most effective method to protect ourselves and others. Remember to get vaccinated.
As the COVID-19 vaccination program begins, priority groups can start booking online. How does the vaccine work? And are there any side effects? Get a comprehensive understanding of the vaccine. Protect yourself and others. Get vaccinated. Monday to Friday on Pearl. A closer look at what lies beneath.
Environment without rocks or reefs for shelter and protection forces animals to develop creative ways of evading predators and catching food.
The mysterious, sometimes perilous underwater world. Wednesday night, Blue World at 8 on Pearl.
Thanks for joining us. This is Straight Talk. With me today are two district councillors. Kin-hei, you're chairman of the Democratic Party, and you were a former student leader. Now you're a district councillor. We're talking about whether both of you are afraid, because over 50 opposition members have been arrested. They were accused of violating the national security law for participating in a primary election to choose candidates for LegCo elections last September, which were cancelled anyway. Now, you said both of you are worried, but you're not scared, right? You're not scared. Now, but then the thing is, by swearing, you say both of you will swear, take that oath to observe the basic law, but in a way, that oath forbids you to oppose the government, but you are both from the opposition. Can you do your job, Tommy, and say you are an opposition member, but you cannot do certain things like I listed before, insult the flag or support independence? None of you ever supported independence, but because the law is so vague, you don't know what is not allowed. How can you be an opposition?
I think we are trying to carry out our duty because I think under certain risks and pressure from Beijing or from the Hong Kong government, of course, we will still need to find a way out to represent the people, or to serve our community and serve Hong Kong. And of course, I don't think we have to change our attitude towards the government, or change our ideas on the political view. I think we should speak out the truth. And
do you dare?
I still think we have the responsibility to tell the truth. If they think this kind of act is also an offense, and then I don't think the people of Hong Kong will accept it.
Can you be part of the opposition, Kin-hei, with all the restrictions?
Of course, I will keep on being an opposition. I don't know how long...
What are you going to oppose?
I don't know how long the government can endure us.
But what are you going to oppose? I don't think the government can endure for very long.
Well, I think it depends on what the government do. If the government is doing something really wrong and really harmful, then of course, like the extradition bill, we oppose very vocally. For example, like recently when the financial secretary, he announced his budget and he sent out those 5,000 consumer vouchers. We think he should just pay out money.
But you've lost your platform to oppose, because none of the opposition are in legislative council anymore. And number two, all the reports say central government is planning to overhaul Hong Kong's political system. You may not even be a district councillor anymore. If this thing is overhauled, they may disqualify all of you.
Or
and
they
there have been a lot of
disqualify the district council as a whole.
Well,
altogether.
there's been a lot of suggestions that they should not allow people to be elected to district councils. They should fill them up with patriotic people from the National People's Congress Advisory Committee and so on. Those are suggestions. And another thing they're going to take away from you, which I think probably will happen, district councils are part of the election committee for the chief executive. And you have got, I think, 117 of those seats now because you won in a landslide in 2019. And they're going to remove the right of district councillors to select the chief executive. What's left in your role?
I think it's not. I don't think so. Worry about the changing in the constitutional in Hong Kong, because actually this kinds of suppression is not happening on these days. It's happening since 2020, and of course they have the power to change the whole political system.
Yeah.
Like they can disqualify the district council as a whole. They can change the seats of the components inside the functional constituency or even the geographical constituency.
But they're planning to do that.
Yeah.
There's some reports say they will do that.
I think actually details hasn't come yet, so I couldn't discuss.
You don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah,
Look in here. You said that. How can you disqualify all the district councillors?
Well, I think we just couldn't let them define us. We came from the people and we came from the community, and that is.
But you won in a landslide in 2019.
Yeah, and that is where our root is. If the government thinks the opposition parties or politicians can no longer exist in Hong Kong system, then so be it, and we will just keep on being there.
But then you will still oppose outside the district council.
Yeah, of course. If I'm disqualified, I'm sure I'll keep on doing what I'm doing now. I don't stop just because the government disqualified us.
I noticed both of you are wearing black, which is a signature for people during the 2019 protests. Tommy, you were also a leading student leader during the umbrella movement as well, along with others, including Joshua Wong, who's now in jail. Now, in hindsight, tell me this, in hindsight, both of you, Look and hear you first, was it wrong to have those protests in 2019, such violent protests on many occasions? Was it wrong to have the umbrella movement? Because if those things had not happened, we may not now be in a situation where the central government wants to overhaul the political system, right? In hindsight, was that a wrong thing to do?
Well, I think we are just, we can only act on that time. We couldn't look back into history and say whether or not we should do that and do that, because we're living in an authentic world, which we can only see the options we have in hands. So I think at 2019 or 2020, the protests escalated because of the government's. They just don't want to hear. They just don't want to listen, and they don't take responsibility, and that is the reaction from the people. So I don't think there is something called right and wrong here, and we don't know whether or not. If you do something, the central government will do another thing. But they will just keep on crushing Hong Kong people if we keep on our democratic movement.
Do you regret taking part in the umbrella movement? Do you regret supporting the 2019 protests?
I don't regret, because I think actually that time is kind of reactions from people that because due to the government failures. If the government really governed the Hong Kong effectively and know what the people needs and listen to the people's voice, I think those protests would not happen. Of course, you may say that we may regret.
But those protests
if we know
need not have been so violent with throwing of petrol bombs and so on.
I think the rest is history. and we need to look forward. Of course, in the later times, I don't think that kind of protest will happen because under the national security law or under the suppression from the government, of course we need to find a way out because I think being oppositions in Hong Kong is facing a very huge difficulties due to the changing in these political systems or the decreased tolerance from the Beijing government and Hong Kong government. I think Hong Kong people will still think there should be the existence of the opposition to restrict the powers or restrict the expansion of powers from the government.
You know, I'm going to ask Loken, I've only got 2 more minutes left. The people expect there to be an opposition, but it seems like there's very little the opposition can do. Do you expect that people will be able to protest in the future once the pandemic is over? Or you think protesting, large-scale protests of 1 million people, that's no longer the case in Hong Kong?
I think people's rights to protest is enshrined in the basic law. If our government said they wanted everybody to respect the basic law, I would ask the government to respect that right. That right should be granted to Hong Kong people right now because the pandemic is not an excuse. You saw a lot of people going to the beaches, going to sports grounds, going to shopping. That is not related to the pandemic. It is a total crackdown on Hong Kong people's right. So I think in the future or right now, Hong Kong people should be able to go to strike and go to protest, and the police should just allow that.
I've got 1 more minute left. Tommy, I'll give you the last word. Do you expect to see protests like the ones we saw in 2019, where many of them turned violent? Do you think people would dare come back out and do that again in the future?
If the government governs well, I don't think that will happen again. But you know, in the history, it is not just only political events that will cause these kinds of protests. There may be other kinds of risks that the government may face. So that if the government really knows the people wants and also listen to people's views, I don't think that kind of protest will happen. But of course, they certainly need to allow the opposition to exist or can have the rights to participate inside the political system.
I've got to end it there. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Good evening.